Let's talk about torture. The National Security is this afternoon under heavy criticism for its handling of two modern Ghana journalists accused of cyber crimes. Lawyers and other senior members of the Ghana Journalists Association have been speaking today at a news conference about the incident. We'll get to hear from them shortly. But before that, Emmanuel Ajafo Abugri, one of the two who were arrested, is insisting that he was indeed tortured whilst in detention at the National Security Command Center here in Accra. This is in spite of National Security denials that they were ever tortured. Mr. Abugri was on the AM show earlier today.
Press releases, there are no contacts. You find the organization's name and then the name of the person who released it. You understand? Sometimes the person's designation. So I told them I'm not the one who wrote that story. It was my reporter who did the story, and he did it out of a press release. And they asked me, did I try finding out where he got the press release? And I said, he's a journalist and he should know his source very well. Then they gave it to me. They gave it to me.
You mean continuous slapping?
Yes. Because this person will slap, then this person will also continue.
Already your hands were tied behind?
Yes. So this person gives, this person follows. So back and back from here. You understand? So I told them, it's my reporter who did it. And he did out of a press release. And they asked me, so he didn't find out where he got a press release? I don't know, press release. If we media houses, we do share press releases among ourselves. You understand? And sometimes you have to fish for news as a reporter. You have to fish for news. You don't have to sit in the office. But you need to know that, look, whatever you get from should have a contact. You understand? It should come from
a known source, organization,
exactly,
or individual.
Yes. So we publish the story, and you know, when we publish the story, we attach the full press release for people to know that, look, this is where.
And you did that in this instance?
We did it in the story. I took them through the process and all that. So when we went through that, they told me to, well, since I cannot confess, I cannot tell who that Constant Kwabin is, it means I'm the one. And then I should stand up. I should go through another phase, which is a military style. You
mean after all this drill,
yes,
you had to go through another process of drilling? And which one was it?
So I had to lean against a wall with my legs up and my legs down.
You mean upside down?
Yeah.
As if you're exercising?
As if I'm doing a push-up with my legs up. I lean against a wall.
Upside down?
Yeah.
So your legs were up?
My legs were up.
And then?
Down.
On the ground?
On the ground.
Who was lifting you up?
You did it yourself? I did it myself.
And then what happened?
They untied my...
And then what happened?
So they told me to be there. So I did and did to a point I could no more do. Then the guy came. All of a sudden the guy came, the guy came and gave me a heavy slap on my back. Right. And I fell. And he told me that do hand press and stand up. And I did hand press, did hand press. He said, stand up. And I said, I can't stand up. Then he put his hand he put his hand here. You know, I lay down flat. So he put his hand here and lifted me up. So he lifted me up this way. Then
can you lie down and do that?
No, someone else could have to do that. So I lay down flat.
So something like this?
Yeah, so something like this. So the guy lifted me this way, you know, and pulled this way. You see? So this way, when I was this way, then the other guy came. And then here, you see, and he hit me, and I fell flat.
On your spine?
Yes, on my spine. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
On my spine. I fell flat.
So earlier you saw what the demonstrations that Mr. Abugri did here on the AM show earlier with my colleague Roland Walker. We've also told you about what the GJA is doing. We'll be hearing from the GJA as well as lawyers for the journalists who were arrested. But let me take you quickly to Gambia. Over there, Benis Abubedu is standing by. She's joining us via Skype. Well, she's been getting some reactions in the Gambia about cases of abuse against journalists. And if you know the history, you do know that Gambia has quite a notorious case when it comes to abuse of journalists. Benis joins us via Skype once again. Hello, Benis.
Hi.
Benis, so tell us what was the discussion about, and in terms of abuse against journalists, are we referring to what happened in Ghana as a case study, or were they sharing their own experiences, the Gambia experience with you?
Well, with the Gambia, there's a new era. There's a lot of excitement. 2 decades of torture, killing, imprisonment of journalists. So there's this new wave that is coming in the Gambia, and a lot of people are excited. I've spoken to a lot of young journalists who say that it's exciting times for them. Since Yaya Jammeh exited, they've had an extra television station, which is QTV, and it's the only private station. The government one is the other one. So they've got only 2 television stations at the moment, but they are excited. What they talk about is the impact that over 2-decade period of silence, call it, had on the society as a whole. So I'm here as part of a DW training program to help young journalists here produce quality videos targeted at young people so they can have their voices heard. You know, during that period, there wasn't a lot of training for journalists because obviously of how the system was. And so the DW, our partners, are here to educate young people, to get them to encourage their younger colleagues to speak up and to also share their thoughts of events that are happening.
Benny, so let me just find out from you whether or not you have shared this story with them. Or have they seen the story themselves online, and what kind of reaction do you get from them? Is it for them strange because it's coming from Ghana, or is it normal because they've lived it, really, or is it a mixture of both?
Okay. All right, Gifty, so let me just say that we have representatives from the Gambia, Ghana, and Zimbabwe. So I shared this story with some of my colleagues from the Zambia and Zimbabwe, I beg your pardon, and the Gambia as well. And they're actually surprised. They expressed a lot of shock because, you know, Ghana is the beacon when it comes to a lot of things. And so it's quite strange for them to hear some of these things, especially for those in the Gambia. They are exiting that period. And so it's it brings a lot of memories for them, hearing that a country like Ghana is reporting of alleged torture against journalists. So that has been the reaction, one of shock, really.
I can imagine what it then means is that they had a very high, I feel like they thought of us, you know, in very highly, I must say. And so this is that's why this is quite disappointing for them.
Exactly, Gifty, and we actually watch our channels a lot here in the Gambia. I had people walk up to me to say they love our channels and express a lot of excitement when they hear that I'm from Ghana and I work with JoyNews. You know, so yeah, definitely there's some bit of disappointment in there for us as a country, and also coming from the back of the drop of our rankings in the World Press Freedom. It's just not too much of a good year for us in the eyes of other countries in West Africa and even Africa at large.
Final question, Benis, will be whether or not this is not necessarily related to journalists and the abuse against journalists, but it has to do with something that's developing as far as what the former president Yaya Jammeh is reported to have done. There's a movement of people, the sort of Me Too movement happening in Gambia. Could you tell us a bit about that?
All right, so as part of the training program, Gifty, the DW organized a panel discussion to launch the Voices for Gambia's Youth. And at that panel discussion, one of the key topics was on sexual abuse. And as you rightly said, 3 persons have accused the former president of rape and sexual abuse. And so it has, you know, sparked a conversation by young people. One of the panelists, Yos Konate, shared her own sister's story where she says her sister was abused by their uncle, but she was flown outside the country because it's, according to her, a deeply rooted cultural problem, and young girls are not taught to speak up. Young girls are not taught to to report issues like this. Families like to handle them. There's a lot of stigmatization. So what is happening now is that these young girls are being encouraged to speak up. More people are coming out, and there's also been some advocacy for young girls to be taken through some lessons, how to say no, what to do, to report to when they're touched in the wrong places and all that. So yes, indeed, there's a lot of speaking up happening now, and many more people are being encouraged to speak up as well. But let me just say that one of the journalists participating in this training I spoke to says that, you know, that over 2-year decade had a very huge impact, and sometimes they find it really difficult to get people to talk, even if they're going to do regular vox pop. It's very difficult. People don't want to come on television because the fear is still there. So that's one of the reasons the DW is here, to find innovative ways to get people to speak, to have young people have their voices heard.
Benis Abubedu-Lansa, Benis, thank you very much for that update, joining us all the way from the Gambia. So essentially the point is that in the Gambia, they have lived, you know, a space where there were lots of media restrictions. They've moved on from that phase because the president has been removed. But they find it quite interesting, disappointing what is happening in Ghana because of the perception they had about media freedom here in Ghana, which is why we're taking you back to the GJA's presser, which they held earlier today. Komla Adum was our man on the ground. He joins me in the studio so we can have a quick talk about what they said there, Komla. Already we know that there are concerns about the basis upon which these gentlemen are being charged, etc. Let's begin from the GJA and what their position is on the matter.
Well, Gifty, the GJA, of course, as the umbrella body for journalists in this country, they are condemning the actions of the national security operatives who are accused of, you know, torturing these two journalists from modern Ghana. They say, for example, this is another blight on Ghana's press freedom credentials, because already there have been several instances of torture against journalists, against individuals, sometimes by police or security officials, and this is another case they would not let slide. So President of the Association, Afomoni, has been, you know, speaking at this press conference. He says it is time for government to set up a committee to investigate these claims.
We can hear him.
The GJ is shocked to the marrow to hear the magnitude of the alleged torture of the two journalists. On the grounds of democratic principles, freedom and independence of the media, and the tradition of defending the rights of journalists, the GJA unequivocally condemns the processes and procedures adopted in seeking justice over the cybercrime allegedly committed by the two journalists. The GJA has a constitutional, legal, ethical, moral, and godly responsibilities to rally to the defense of all journalists in their line of duty, and we shall not flinch from doing so under any circumstance. The GJA is indeed overly worried and concerned about attacks of scandalous frequency on journalists in recent times. Such attacks corrode our international image and dim the beacon of our democracy. Therefore, we call for an independent investigation into the alleged torture. Our simple request to the government is this: please work and be seen to be working on restoring confidence that the Ghanaian media environment is safe and still a reference point for the rest of the world. It's also appropriate to admonish our media colleagues to be ethically responsible and security conscious at all times in order not to fall easy prey to the enemies of press freedom.
Afomoni is GJA president. There, Komla, back to you. We know that the lawyers for the gentlemen who were arrested were also at the press conference. What did they say? So,
Gifty, we know that the Ghana Journalists Association has a legal team, and so the legal team members are those representing these two journalists in this case. One of them is Samson Ladi Ayenini, and he says, you know, contrary to claims by the state and national security officials that they did not torture the two journalists, and also, as we saw a short while ago, Ajafo demonstrate on the AM show with Roland Walker that he was tortured, The lawyer, Samson Ladiaini, says, in fact, from their inquisition of these two journalists, in fact, indeed, they were tortured.
Okay. Lawyers.
The officers came to their offices, picked them up, took any gadgets they found around the place, their laptops and their phones, using black polythene bags, covered their faces and pushed them into their vehicle to drive them to a location so they would not be able to locate where exactly they were. And it was in the National Security custody that they were interrogated. And according to their report, both journalists were assaulted. Yesterday, we took time to ask them repeatedly. Myself, for example, I asked each one of them not more than 3 times to confirm if indeed they were assaulted whilst they were in National Security custody. And their answer was a constant yes. They took time to give the details of how they were assaulted, except that Ajafo appears to have received much of the criminal, unlawful, and unconstitutional attack on his person and the invasion of their privacy. So they took their laptops, of course, because they were in pain, you couldn't say, I won't give you my password. But the law is that they can take any gadget they find with you. The law allows them to do that, but they cannot have access to it except by an order of the court. Somehow, as they were assaulting them and forcing them, they had to give up and give the password, Brichum particularly. And they opened his laptop and found that he had Peace FM email opened. So the question to him was, do you work with Peace FM? No. How come you are using Peace FM email? He said, I was employed by an editor of Peace FM, and I was giving access to the general pool. There's nothing secret about it, and we generate news out of that. When people send SMSs, SOS messages to that pool, we also get it and we follow up and we get our stories.
Samson Ladi Ayene there. So he's not the only one who spoke. He also this is not the only thing he said. He also indicated that as we speak, his clients have not been charged. Is that correct?
Yes, Gibson, we know that sometime yesterday they were supposed to have been put before court, you know, for the claims that have been made against, the allegations of cybercrime and hacking that have been made against them. But so as we speak, they have not been put before court, and the lawyers say there are no reasonable grounds to suggest or to level any guilt against them at this point, because from the allegations that have been leveled against them, cybercrime and hacking, there's not been enough evidence or enough proof that indeed these two gentlemen engaged in any of these activities. Listen.
And now the Ministry's police station, as we know, and all of you are aware by the statements that have been issued by the state, it's an investigation of cybercrime. Judge for yourself if this is how cybercrime is conducted. We can say that from the processes so far, all the lawyers, we agree that an operation appears to have backfired, and now they are hanging onto straw to use to justify the unlawful, criminal, and unconstitutional conduct. There may be questions of ethics as regards the journalist and the editor who employed him, but there clearly is no criminal offense in this matter. I dare say that if there was a criminal offense, as the government statement has stated that they were going to be put before court yesterday, they would have been put before court earlier than yesterday. They can't find a charge because there is none. There probably will be a trumped up one. but it will be decimated in court because the court will not entertain the prostitution of its processes.
Courts will not entertain prostitution of its processes, he says there. Oh, he's not the only one again who addressed the press conference.
Yes,
tell us who else.
We had representatives from Primpag, we had managing news editors of some of the newspapers, we had Kwesi Pratt, who was also speaking. And we know Kwesi Pratt as a man who has been subject of some of these experiences in the past before. So when he took over the podium, he said he didn't trust the police to conduct any decent investigations into this matter. Of course, because of past years and the experiences that we've had so far. We've had police, you know, assault journalists, and to date, there's been no closure. There's been no results from any investigations they've done. So he says the police cannot be trusted on this matter.
We need to have a fair-minded, independent body to establish the full facts. The police cannot be trusted to establish the full facts, given their conduct, especially with regards to the abuse of journalists. Some journalists have been abused by the police, and it took a whole lot of struggle to get the police to act. In some instances, more than a year or so. So given the conduct of the police, I'll be surprised if we took a position that let's wait for the police report. What police report? We need an independent, fair-minded body to establish the full facts.
An independent body to establish the full facts. Before you go, Komla, was the editor, were the editor and the reporter there?
I saw the editor, Emmanuel Ajafo. He was there. He had just left the police hospital and came to the press conference. So before he arrived, Samson had told the press conference that as of midday today, the medical procedures that were expected to have commenced for him had not been done. And so as up until midday, he had not been seen by medics at the police hospital. And so even that procedure itself to get the medical report and, you know, continue the processes had stalled somewhat because the police hospital hadn't, you know, attended to him sort of. And so he left the police hospital and came to the press conference. He was supposed to have reported to the ministry's police today at 9 a.m. But because he had to go to the hospital, the police hospital, to seek medical attention, he was unable to attend to the interrogation or to the invitation of the police at the ministries as of midday. But he was at the press conference. He looked buoyed. I mean, he looked okay. He was interacting with some of the senior editors and, you know, some of the GG executives who were sort of, you know, consoling him and sympathizing with him, etc. But I think he's in high spirits. All
right. Thank you very much. Komla Adom there. He was our man at the press conference held by the Ghana Journalists Association, briefing us on what happened there. Well, let's get on the phone lines now. I have Emmanuel Bigbo. He's convener of the Media Coalition Against Abuse. Hello, Emmanuel.
Hello.
So you have some concerns as well, and you're organizing a demonstration?
We won't term it demonstration. We are just creating an awareness, and we're urging our colleagues in the media fraternity to all clad themselves in red attire on Friday as a report to their duty post, and also take a picture in the attire with the hashtag Media Red Friday. We need to put pressure on the system so that this level of abuses that we are suffering could be kept. Because, look, it appears everybody's attacking us now. Even men of God, there are reports and stories about men of God besieging radio stations and vandalizing equipment there and attacking some personnel there. We are not saying, we are not passing judgments here whether the modern Ghana journalists are guilty or not. But the manner in which they were picked up, this must be desired. We think that that could have been done in a more decorous and distant manner. That is, if the authorities have respect for the media, because I don't think if they were doctors, if they were lawyers, would have been arrested in that fashion. So that is a concern that we have. For example, there's a cyber crime unit of the Ghana Police Service. So if indeed the explanation we are receiving that they were involved in illegal cyber activities, I think these are more, friendlier or when the arrest was done. Imagine the police service carrying out this arrest. I don't think it would have been greeted with this level of outrage.
All right. So Friday, you say it's a Media Red Friday?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Media Red Friday.
Media Red Friday, and you're asking every...
your colleagues to wear red and take pictures, post them on Twitter, Facebook with that caption. We need to draw attention to ourselves. I'm a regular reporter. It started with investigative journalists, Manasseh and the rest, and those of us who are business reporters, those of us who are sports reporters thought, oh, they're so remote from us. Our colleagues who cover political assignments, they get attacked and the rest, and those of us who really are producers and the rest, oh, it's so remote from us. But now they are coming into our institution, and just like the German preachers, and the socialists, we were not socialists. So when they came for us, there was nobody there to speak for us. I think we as ordinary reporters, we as ordinary journalists, I think this is the time for us to make our voice known.
Make our voices heard. Mr. Bigpo, thank you very much for joining in the conversation there.